If there's one thing that a lot of Star Wars fans are not looking forward to right now, is that it has a lot to do with the Rey-centered Star Wars film, aka the new Jedi Order movie that is still happening, by the way, that got delayed from December of 2025 until the middle point of 2026. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. And without further ado, let's jump right into the subject. Now, for those of you that have been very unaware, everything Disney has been shifted. All of the Marvel movies, all of the Star Wars films have been delayed by quite a good amount. Some of which are a matter of months, others of which are a full year. The Avengers movies are completely shifted as well. So there's a lot of things happening due to the writer's strike. And one thing that Steven Knight and, of course, Charmin, the writer and the director of the Rey movie, are going through right now, are preparing and anticipating rewrites for some portions of the script once the writer's strike lifts, which should be, hopefully, by this August. If not, then they're really in trouble when it comes to release dates, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But moving on to the next big thing. Now, the thing that really concerns me as a fan is exactly why Disney is embracing the Rey movie to be the first Star Wars movie out of the 3 that are currently announced. And I think it has the potential to break the momentum if it's really going to turn Star Wars fans away. We're going to be going over specifically something that Steven Knight and Charmin are doing and planning for the character of Rey that I think is really going to make a lot of fans cringe. So let's get right into this. Now, with writer Steven Knight and director Charmin, who by the way worked on Mrs. Marvel, very busy with the Rey movie that they now plan to begin filming by April of 2024, one huge development surrounding the film that they plan to establish is last-minute rewrites once the writer's strike comes to a close, has much to do with how Rey's story will be presented. Now, right now, Knight's plan is to not only change Rey's design by making her into a blonde for this movie, but it's also a Disney marketing move to boost sales for Rey figures and toys that they plan to release in 2026. Now, the decision to change Rey's hair color was agreed upon between both Knight and Charmin, the director of Mrs. Marvel, and that a great portion of the film is going to involve Rey fighting her thoughts about herself being a Palpatine, and that it has created some kind of PTSD of who she really is and using the Rey Skywalker name as a way to forget her true heritage. Knight's plan is to make this movie heavily deal with Rey's emotions, and that there will be a reason why her hair changes color, and that it may have something to do with the Force, much how in the Disney canon, kyber crystals and their colors change with the way of the Force from its Force user. So let me stop right here for a second. Now, we talked about this, like, what was it, a week and a half ago, that Knight and Charmin agreed on changing the hair color of Rey to kind of boost the sales of the overall marketing approach for the Rey figures and the toys and everything around those lines, right? The thing that really makes absolutely no sense to me here is why would you go out of your way to do something like that? Because it's really going to break tradition from Star Wars, I think at least. And not just that, it gets worse. We're going to be covering the next thing about what Knight and Charmin are about to do with Rey's new Jedi Order. So not only is she going to create the entire new order, post, of course, Rise of Skywalker era, but it also has to do a lot with the world of Tatooine. Let's get into this. Now, I know a lot of fans are probably rolling their eyes right now, like, oh great, Tatooine again. We've visited this place tons and tons of times, let alone desert planets. You know, we've seen Tatooine in The Force Awakens, in The Rise of Skywalker, in the Kenobi series, in the Boba Fett show. It just keeps coming back, and it gets very repetitive. I will agree about that, guys. I will. So, Tatooine is going to be a very big focus in the Rey-centered film via many of the storyboards and the concept art that has been created for this new Jedi Order / Rey movie. And I think that's really going to create a lot of apathy for a lot of fans that are just tired of revisiting this world. But moving on, alright, we're not done yet. However, that's still not certain yet for why her hair color is planned to be blonde, whether or not if it's due to the Force. It's described to be a common practice for the female students in her new order, reportedly that is planned to take place on Tatooine again. That is eventually going to be called the Tatooine Temple. Knight essentially and initially wanted to call it the Skywalker Temple, but erased that idea. The notes for the Rey film already plan to list Rey as a Grand Master for the Rey movie toward the tail end. As of now, Disney is doubling down with the Rey movie as they want to course correct the wrongs of the sequel trilogy, and get this, are even open to making a Rey trilogy. So basically a New Jedi Order trilogy. However, based on this direction, it is absolutely not for the best. With the film already now delayed from 25 till 26, it could very well be delayed again if the writer's strike continues past the summer leading into the end of September, which is said to be a 50-50 shot at this point. Now again, the reason why I think this is really cringeworthy material is not only is it the fact that they want to create the possibility of making a Rey trilogy, something that I think not a lot of fans are going to want to see that, especially if it's being so mishandled by somebody like Stephen Knight and director Charmin. Again, guys, Charmin, I don't know if you guys know her, she worked on Mrs. Marvel, which in my opinion was a big bomb from the fan reception side of things. I don't think a lot of people like that. It's just funny how we always get these types of creators that don't really seem to care about Star Wars and just care about some kind of driven agenda once more. Much like Leslie Headland, much like, of course, others out there, like Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who really got very defensive, by the way, about her L3 droid and how so many fans did not approve of it. But moving into the next thing here that I think is even all the more concerning is the fact that this movie's going to be a very emotional film, quote-unquote. It's going to deal with her emotions with being a Palpatine, trying to forget that, how she's going to have some form of PTSD of being a Palpatine. And that is very tiresome. That is very old. It may have worked with Obi-Wan Kenobi for sure, 100%, but it does not work for Rey in my book. And I'm sure a lot of you guys out there will agree that it's a waste of space to kind of adventure into that realm of Rey's mind, dealing with her true heritage, trying to hide that fact, using the Rey Skywalker name. Now, we know that John and Dave have a post-Episode 9 series pre-planned that's going to reinvent the character, that's going to retcon the entire bloodline and backstory for her, 25 years after Episode 9, and roughly 10 years after the events of the Rey movie. So that's another thing to be aware of. It's really like you have these different teams at Lucasfilm with their own set of beliefs about what Star Wars is meant to be and what the fans expect to see on the big screen or not. So again, I'm not quite sure how a lot of fans are going to take this. I think a lot of fans are going to reject the ideas of Disney embracing a Rey trilogy, basing the temple on Tatooine, basing the new generation of Jedi on Tatooine as well. And once again, they want to make this a very female-driven movie, so to speak. That's basically what they're trying to do. So anyways, I would love to hear your opinion and take on all of this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.